Unleashed begins with a man named Danny wearing a metal collar around his neck. When the metal collar is removed, Danny transforms into a ferocious fighter who will not stop until he has killed his opponents. Danny is not only skilled at fighting but also at defending himself. He was even able to avoid a bullet fired directly at him at close range. After beating the gunman, an elderly guy in a white coat named Bart enters the room and approaches him to collect a loan. Bart is a nasty loan shark who frequently resorts to violence to collect debts, including Danny. Danny is a superb fighter who will do anything to defeat his opponents once Bart removes the metal collar around his neck. When Bart finished his business, he reattached the metal collar around Danny's neck. Danny transformed into a harmless person once the metal collar was attached, very silent, and with no experience of how to live as a social being. Bart had always treated Danny like a stray puppy. Bart even placed Danny in a metal cage beneath his office. Bart usually took Danny when he needed to collect debts. If the people who owed him failed to pay, Bart would remove Danny's metal collar, and he would attack them like a wild dog. Danny refused to stop until the men were powerless, and he always followed Bart's orders. One day, Bart was preparing to collect a loan from a wealthy individual named Raffles. The man appears to have known how Bart would unleash his savage dog and attack everyone. When the two couldn't come to an agreement, Raffles quickly ordered all of his men to attack Bart, preventing him from releasing the metal collar around Danny's neck. Danny showed no emotion while the metal collar was still around his neck, despite the fact that Bart was being severely thrashed at the time. Bart appeared to be able to match Raffles' men, so he eventually removed the metal collar around Danny's neck. When the metal necklace came off, Danny went insane and attacked Raffles and his men. Danny's aggressive actions against Raffles and his men were known to a strange man named Wyeth, who was present at Raffles' home at the time. Wyeth looked impressed by Danny's fighting style. On the other side, because Raffles refused to pay his debt to Bart, Bart seized all of Raffles' valuables and departed. Later, he escorted Danny to another location to collect debts. But this time, he decided to try negotiating first and had Danny wait in the warehouse. Bart, holding a lamp, then instructed Danny to instantly pursue him if the light was on. One of Bart's men hung the lamp, and Bart instructed Danny to keep an eye on it in case anything happened. After Bart and his guys had left, Danny looked about and appeared intrigued by an old piano in the antique warehouse. Soon after, an elderly man arrived at the warehouse and began playing the piano. Even though he was blind, Sam knew Danny's location and greeted him kindly. Danny tried to ignore Sam, but he couldn't resist the need to play the piano keys, so he eventually gave in and approached Sam when the old man offered to teach Danny to play the piano. Danny was too preoccupied with learning to play the piano to notice that the hanging lamp was turned on. By the time he arrived, Bart and his men were already damaged. Bart chastised Danny because he was late, and when they returned to Bart's office, Danny was thrown inside an iron cage. Soon later, Wyeth came to Bart's house to ask Danny to an underground battle. Wyeth tells Bart that if Danny wins the battle, he will make a lot of money since many people will wager their money. Bart is interested in Wyeth's proposition, so he invites Danny to an underground battle sponsored by Wyeth. Danny will face the reigning champs, who have gone undefeated 15 times. After removing Danny's metal collar, Bart quickly defeats the fighter. Wyeth questioned Bart how he could train someone to be so obedient to whatever he said. Bart replied that it had to be done as soon as possible. Wyeth appeared to understand and handed over the money from the bet to Bart. A huge truck collided with their car as they were driving home. Following that, a gang of men led by Raffles arrived and opened fire on the vehicle. The incident killed Bart's soldiers, and he became unconscious. Nonetheless, Danny survived. On the other hand, Sam returned to the antique warehouse to play the piano as usual. The blind guy sensed Danny's presence, who arrived terribly hurt and collapsed immediately. Danny then had a horrible dream about being shot by someone while peering out of the closet. Danny awoke confused since he was in an unfamiliar room, and his clothes had already been replaced. When he heard footsteps approaching, he immediately hid under the bed. It turned out that the one who came was Sam, who had given him food. After eating, Danny exited the room to listen to Sam play the piano. Danny, on the other hand, ran into the room when he saw Victoria, Sam's adopted daughter, who had just returned home. Sam and Victoria are preparing to eat supper and invite Danny to join them. Danny went into the dining area and simply devoured the food. Victoria witnessed this and taught Danny how to eat properly, asking him to follow her. Danny replicated Sam's and Victoria's movements before introducing himself. Danny begins to open up to Sam and Victoria after moving in with them and beginning a new life with a caring family. Sam and Victoria teach Danny how to eat, read, speak, cook, shop, and play the piano. Danny learns how to interact with others after Victoria and Sam take him to public places, have ice cream at a cafe, and take pictures together. Danny's looks also altered dramatically as he adopted new clothes and hairstyles and began living a clean and healthy lifestyle like any other human being. Danny was filled with excitement every day since Sam and Victoria treated him as if he were a member of their own family. One night, Victoria entered Danny's chamber and attempted to remove the metal collar around his neck. Danny, on the other hand, ducked and smacked her hand because he remembered his history, when removing the necklace caused him to become angry. But Victoria persuades Danny that the metal collar should be removed because he is a free human being, not a pet. Victoria slowly removed the metal necklace, and Danny recognized that he would still be Danny, harmless to others, even without the necklace around his neck. Danny's interest in music grows as he spends time with Victoria, and he becomes curious about his mother after Victoria teaches him what it is to have a family. One day, Danny runs into one of Bart's men, who invites him back. Danny agreed to his invitation. Bart was overjoyed when Danny returned to him. However, Danny instead inquired about his mother. Bart says that he does not know Danny's mother. Bart then invites Danny to Wyatt's residence to participate in an underground war. Bart shoved Danny aside because he refused to enter the arena when he was commanded to. Danny fights but tries not to injure his opponent because the contemporary Danny has changed. When the duel became less thrilling, Wyatt ordered 3 more fighters to enter the arena and gang up on Danny. Bart is upset, so he urges Danny to fight or die. Danny eventually battled back and defeated all the fighters. However, he lacks the courage to murder them, so Bart takes a risk and shoots the fighters. After that, Bart severely beat Danny and threw him into his iron cage. On the other side, Sam consoled Victoria, who was concerned about Danny's disappearance. Later that night, Danny slips out of the cage and searches Bart's desk for information about his mother, discovering an old photo of a woman playing the piano that he believes is his mother. Danny then attempts to confirm the woman's identification with Bart. Bart said that the woman was his mother. Bart then lies by telling Danny a moving narrative, in the hopes that he would not abandon him again, and Danny appears moved. The next day, when Danny and Bart are going to go to collect debts, Danny escapes from Bart by snatching the steering wheel and forcing the automobile they were in to crash, eventually overturning and crashing. Danny, who has survived, returns to Sam and Victoria to inform them about his mother. Sam asked Victoria to describe the setting depicted in Danny's mother's photograph. Sam stated that he was familiar with the location after hearing Victoria explain it. Sam then brings Danny to a music academy, where he discovers that his mother was a pianist who studied there but left due to financial difficulties. Danny didn't know much about his mother, but he was relieved to learn that she was a pianist, which explains why he was interested in playing the piano. While Danny was in his room, Victoria approached him and told him about his mother's song at the time the photo was shot. She recognizes the tune from the piano score in the shot. She then asks Danny to play the song. Danny recalls his childhood memories as Victoria plays the same music as her mother in the photo. At the time, his mother was a music academy student facing financial troubles. Danny would always play under the piano as his mother performed the song. One day, there was a knock on the door, and his mother advised him to hide in the closet. Danny peeks out of the cabinet and sees a stranger approaching and tormenting his mother. His mother did not remain silent and attempted to resist the man. However, the man shot his mother instead. Danny rushed out of the closet and attacked the man after seeing his mother's murder. But Danny, who was young, was unable to fight back until the man seized him and carried him away. Bart, on the other hand, holds a supermarket cashier at gunpoint and begs for Danny's location. He finally learns where Danny is. Danny and Victoria packed their belongings and left as soon as he regained his memories, knowing that Bart would undoubtedly visit them at some point. Bart and a large group of thugs go up at Sam's apartment building to arrest Danny. Danny sees this and hides Sam and Victoria in the closet before heading outside to battle the goons. Danny can handle all of these goons, even if he is alone. If the goons do not kill Danny, Bart has another plan. Bart then orders the stranger, a dependable fighter with almost Danny's fighting ability. Danny, on the other hand, successfully diverts the thugs' attention away from Sam's apartment building. While dodging the goons pursuing him, Danny enters a crevice where he meets the stranger. Fierce conflicts are unavoidable because both possess reliable fighting talents. They can even fight violently in small toilet cubicles. On the other hand, Bart parked his car in a peaceful area. Danny's fight with the stranger concludes with Danny accidentally murdering him by kicking him from a height and landing on top of Bart's car. Seeing his flagship fighter dead, Bart instructed his men to pursue and kill Danny, who was racing around the building until they were able to corner him in Sam's apartment. Bart then holds his rifle at Danny and threatens to pull the trigger, but to his astonishment, he drops the gun and pulls out Danny's metal collar, telling him to accompany him home. Danny cautiously went closer, as if persuaded by Bart, and enabled Bart to wrap the metal collar around his neck, but Danny abruptly stopped Bart at the last moment, incapacitating all of Bart's soldiers. Danny is furious when he discovers that Bart murdered his mother, and he beats him to death. When Danny is about to kill Bart, Sam and Victoria come out of hiding to stop him. Instead, Bart instructs Danny to kill them. Bart tells Danny that he will always be a wild animal without a family, to which Sam instantly answers by dropping a flower pot on Bart's head, knocking him out. Sam, Danny, and Victoria clutched each other to alleviate Danny's rage. Following that, Bart and all of his men were imprisoned for an extended period. The film concludes with Danny sitting with Sam at a piano performance, where Victoria is preparing to perform. Danny tears up as he realizes Victoria is going to perform the song his mother used to play years ago.